I knew the severity of COVID. I didn't think my dad would ever get sick. Everything just came on so quick. It was just 1 minute dad's fine and next minute he's not fine. I was kind of in denial for what was coming. The last update prior to him being transferred to Penn was when it was really like, is dad gonna make it? I just wanted to have another conversation with my dad. Penn was exactly the hope that we needed to keep fighting. He's under sedation, he's non-responsive. So the next step was we have to get him off of all the sedation and kind of see his mental state. I would tell my dad all the time, if you fight, we fight. If you're fighting, we're gonna fight for you as a family. So you're not fighting alone. We are in this together. My dad was on the ventilator for 168 days. The day he finally woke up and looked at me, his personality was coming back. Walking without the walker. That was huge.
Watch out, man, watch out. The big boss is back. He's coming back.
This is more than just physical rehab. This was the mental rehab, and it gave him the confidence to believe that he was going to be okay.
The boss is back.
Hi, Dad.
How was it?
How was your day today?
Yeah, fine. How was yours?
It was good. He is doing great. That's the reason why I wanted to work at Penn. I wanted to work at the best hospital in the area.
So, I think it's a very noble profession, and I push her to become a nurse.
But to see it firsthand, the care that my father received, and to see how everyone rallied together and conquered COVID. To be able to see that is an incredible experience.
Good morning on this Thursday, August the 19th, 2021. Let it be known, again, we bring you more information on the COVID-19 vaccines, the COVID-19 situation, which really the Delta variant is causing it to rage out of control. Once again, many are suffering. So we bring you these stories, hoping that it helps you in some way to perhaps make a decision yourself on vaccination, I should say, or a loved one or a friend. This morning, Lisa Colon advises on legal issues involving public and private construction projects and real estate development, along with government contracting compliance. Board certified in construction law by the Florida Bar, Lisa focuses on both negotiating of deals and litigation of construction-related disputes involving businesses and professionals. This morning, Lisa Colon will speak to her experience as an Afro-Latina in the male-dominated industry of construction law. And now we turn to the news headlines for the morning. Following up on a story we brought you yesterday, the White House and top health officials and medical experts formally announced that booster shots of the COVID-19 vaccine will be available beginning on September 20th. The officials said the boosters are still pending authorization from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, but CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy, National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Disease Director Dr. Anthony Fauci, and COVID Health Equity Task Force Chair Dr. Marcellus Nunez Smith counted among the experts and officials to issue a news release about the additional shots. They said, "We are prepared to offer booster shots for all Americans beginning the week of September 20th and starting 8 months after an individual's second dose." At that time, the individuals who were fully vaccinated earliest in the vaccination rollout, including many healthcare providers, nursing home residents, and other seniors, will likely be eligible for a booster. The statement continued, we would also begin efforts to deliver booster shots directly to residents of long-term care facilities at that time. Given the distribution of vaccines to this population early in the vaccine rollout and the continued increased risk that COVID-19 poses to them. The announcement arrives as the virus continues a rapid spread throughout the country, with hotspots identified in Florida, Mississippi, Texas, Oregon, and other states. So that's one that we're continually keeping our eye on, one that we must continue to be vigilant, and the Black press will do just so. Also in the news, again, keeping with the theme of the COVID outbreak, in a blunt and perhaps troubling assessment about the need for a third vaccine shot, the CDC said that the agency has examined numerous cohorts through the end of July and early August, and 3 points are now clear. First, vaccine-induced protection against COVID and against the COVID infection begins to decrease over time. Vaccines-induced protection, I want to say that again, vaccine-induced protection decreases over time. Second, vaccine effectiveness against severe disease, hospitalizations, and death still remains relatively high. Vaccine effectiveness is generally decreased against the Delta variant. So again, it's very important, folks, that we pay attention to the science. Talk to your physicians. This is extremely important. You saw the video to start the show this morning. If you watched yesterday was much more heartbreaking. Today, at least there was some positive resolution for that particular family. The CDC published their morbidity and mortality weekly report, which reinforced the notion that vaccines alone can't stop the pandemic. Safety precautions like wearing masks must coincide with a layered approach centered on vaccinations, wrote researchers at New York State Department of Health and the University at Albany School of Public Health. Several studies was done showing that vaccines are effective when it comes to preventing hospitalizations, but the Delta variant is wearing down the vaccines. I understand that we are now joined by the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr. Good morning, Dr. Chavis.
Good morning, Stacey Brown. Beautiful day here in Washington, D.C. On behalf of Karen Carter Richards and the 230 African-American owned newspapers and media companies that make up the National Newspaper Publishers Association, we are pleased to be with you briefly today. I'm on my way to the NMPA studio. We have to do some taping also this morning. So I'll be with you as long as I can for the duration of the show.
Well, Dr. Chavis, we know your schedule is always jam-packed. We want to say good morning. You mentioned our chair, Karen Carter Richards, who's watching this morning. Bobby Henry is watching from Fort Lauderdale. We got a treat for you this morning, Bobby Henry. One of your Fort Lauderdale finest residents is going to join us this morning. Also, Dr. Chavis, in the news, U.S. House Majority Whip James Clyburn and Congressman Donald McEachin urged Admiral Michelle Howard, the chair of the naming commission at the U.S. Department of Defense, to rename Fort Lee in Central Virginia after Lieutenant General Arthur J. Gregg. This recommendation follows an independent commission organized by the members, which agreed that the military base should be rededicated as Fort Gregg. In a statement, they said, "You have been tasked with the critical and long overdue responsibility of beginning the process of renaming military institutions or installations honoring individuals who took up arms against the United States to preserve the institution of slavery." This change is long overdue. The armed forces of the United States exemplify the values, identity, and diversity of our nation, and it is imperative that the names of military installations, ships, buildings, and other property reflects that as well. Lieutenant Greg Dr. Chavez was a 35-year veteran of the U.S. Army, a celebrated military logistics man, I should say, and a barrier breaker for African American armed forces. They want to take away the name Fort Lee, which is named after Confederate General Robert E. Lee.
Yes, absolutely. And certainly we hope that Fort Lee is in Virginia. And of course, Brenda Andrews, our national treasurer, is the publisher of the New Journal and Guide in Norfolk. I know they support this issue of changing the military base from Robert E. Lee to General Gregg. And of course, Congressman Jim Clyburn is one of the leading members of the whole Congress of the United States. So the Black Press of America, we definitely support this initiative.
Yeah. And I want to say good morning to Dr. Chavez, to James Wright of the Washington Informer. He notes that he lost his frat brother to COVID yesterday. So our hearts go out to James, his family, his frat brother's family as well. We're seeing much too much of this death. Right.
And we express our condolences to Brother Wright's fraternity, his brother's family. And let me, while we have you on this, express other condolences for the family of our general counsel, Attorney A. Scott Bolin. His father passed away yesterday after a long illness. He's originally from Illinois. So we extend our prayers and condolences to the Bolin family and to our general counsel, A. Scott Bolin, an outstanding attorney who has represented the NMPA for years, very effectively and very successfully. So I know I join Karen Carter Richards, our distinguished chair, and all the members publishers as we express our condolences to the Bolin family.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Chavez, certainly our hearts go out to Scott Bolin. What an attorney, as you said. And Dr. Chavez, this morning, Lisa Colon is coming to us from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. She advises on legal issues involving public and private construction projects and real estate development, along with government contracting compliance. She's board certified in construction law by the Florida Bar, and she focuses on both negotiation of deals and litigation of construction-related disputes. She's an Afro-Latino in a white male-dominated industry. Let's get talk about that with Lisa. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning, Stacy, and good morning, Dr. Chavez, and thank you for having me.
Good morning, Lisa. ¿Cómo está? Mucho gusto.
Estoy bien.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm just going to say good morning. How about that?
Well, we appreciate your leadership, Lisa, and thank you for joining the Black Press of America.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored.
So, Lisa, construction law, first of all, what made you, or what led you, I should say, to decide on a career in construction law?
Well, I think in the beginning it found me. I did not know. I don't think many young attorneys or law students know that there is an opportunity to practice in this area. It's a very niche specialty of law, and I did not go seeking it out. I have zero engineering skills. I'm a lawyer because I can't do math or science, So my first job out of law school, I worked with a real estate development firm, and that's kind of how I got thrown into it. I came out of law school at the turn of the new century, and in South Florida, everybody was a developer. And if you remember back in the 2000, 2001, South Florida, our real estate market was hot and steamy and getting ready to crash in 2008. But that's where I cut my teeth in learning construction law. And then at one point in my career, I didn't know if I wanted to do it because obviously I was the only person ever in any deal, any room that looked like me, or was was a person of color. So I didn't know if I wanted to continue. I didn't know if it would be good for my career. But I decided at one point, I remember saying to myself, well, here's an opportunity to trailblaze, to do something different, to do something that not everyone that it's going to expect you to do. So I remember making that decision probably about 4 or 5 years out of law school.
Wow. And so it's as we said at the top, it's a white male dominated industry. Lisa, what were some of your challenges that you've experienced?
Well, the biggest challenge for me is legitimacy, right? Walking into a room where nobody looks like you, walking into a room where you're the only female, where you're the only person of color, and having a voice, and to convince folks that you are equally capable, you are smart, you can handle their $1 million deal, you can handle their hundreds of $1 million dispute, and that you have the knowledge and the capability and the competency to do it. So because what happens is folks do. One of my mentors told me, folks do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? And so walking into a room where nobody knows you, they don't know if they can trust you, and they really don't know if they like you, you have to start building your reputation and the foundation for that. So getting business was the hardest thing at first, convincing folks that I was capable. Just as my white male counterparts in the firms that I've worked with.
So Lisa, who hires a construction lawyer?
Anybody that does construction work. So my clients, what I love about my practice, my clients are from the mom and pop company that puts up drywall or does painting or slings concrete, all the way to the multinational construction company or engineering and construction design building company. So on my desk right now, I have a case where I'm doing a roof for a residential roof case where we have a dispute that the roofer didn't finish. So I'm representing the homeowner. And on my desk right now, I'm on one of the largest projects, Broward County, and shout out to Fort Lauderdale. I'm on one of the largest the largest projects Broward County ever procured, a $1 billion renovation and expansion of our convention center. So my day, the folks that I represent span the gamut of types of businesses and types of deals.
And also, Lisa, we know that the massive infrastructure bill was just passed. Tell us the impact of that in your industry. So,
the Senate passed a bipartisan $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Now it goes on to the House of Representatives, and hopefully something will end up on President Biden's desk to sign. And what that bill will look like after it gets to the House, if it gets to the House, we don't know. But this is a great opportunity for people of color. And one of the things I advocate for are minority and small-owned businesses to really get a piece of the pie, right? Our economy is built on construction. Construction really, we build, this country builds, everybody builds. The federal government builds, state, local government build. Real estate right now is the hottest deal in town. During the COVID pandemic, construction didn't stop. Construction was considered an essential business. So none of my clients really stopped building. Our challenge during the pandemic was really material supplies and labor supply. But anyway, in the infrastructure bill, this is an opportunity to really change and to build generational wealth for a lot of African Americans, a lot of Latino Americans. The infrastructure bill is going to cover airports and our electric grids and electric vehicles, ports and roadways, just everything in this bill. And so if you have, from the person that has a small asphalt paving company to the person that lays pipes and do underground work, there's an opportunity here. This is all federal dollars, so our disadvantaged business enterprise law will be will be tied to a lot of these dollars. That means that large contractors are going to have to hire smaller contractors, smaller minority contractors, and give a certain percentage of the work to those contractors. So there's a great opportunity here to really invest in our communities. And so I want to make sure that everybody's positioned to get all the businesses that are qualified are positioned to get some of this work if we do get this bill passed.
Yeah, sounds exciting. Dr. Chavez, want to bring you in on this conversation.
Well, I'm just listening to Sister Lisa very well. Thank you for your leadership in this construction industry. And I know Bobby Henry, our distinguished publisher of the West Side Gazette right there in Fort Lauderdale, is going to reach out to you. Lisa, we represent Black-owned businesses in the publishing industry. And one of the things that are also in the infrastructure bill is expansion of broadband, to making sure that there's no digital divide in our community. And of course, a lot of our newspapers also have digital editions now of their print news. Can you just talk overall, Lisa, the importance of entrepreneurship, the importance of African Americans and Latino Americans and other persons of color getting involved in construction as on the business side, on the entrepreneur side, not just on the consumer side?
Right. So there's so many opportunities in the construction industry, like you said, to build a business from the ground up. A lot of our public, state, local, and our federal government have programs for small and minority-owned businesses to get started. And so a lot of folks need to take advantage of this. I know here in Broward County, we have a very active Office of Small Business and Economic Development run by a very wonderful brother, Sandy Michael McDonald, and he is committed to growing small businesses in this community. So a lot of government, a lot of public work has what they call small business goal or minority business goal tied to the dollars that are spent in construction and infrastructure and development. So this is a great way for you to, if you are interested in this field and in construction, and you have an entrepreneurial spirit, and you may have worked for a construction company so that you have the knowledge, what you need to do is go talk to your local folks in procurement and see what opportunities there are there to start a business, get certified as a small or minority-owned business, and start working. And it's not as hard as it seems, and a lot of agencies have a lot of help and a lot of support to grow your business, to have access to capital, and just to kind of learn how to do what I call the back of the house end of owning a company.
Mm. Well,
very good.
Yeah, that's very interesting too, Lisa. So I want to go back to your role as an attorney, an expert in construction law. Who is generally on the other side of the table in the cases you represent? And isn't it the construction firm or a non-construction individual or corporation?
Well, usually, so I do both transactional and litigation work, and I'm a partner at Saul Ewing Arnstein Lehr. And I just want to say hi to any one of my partners out there that's listening. So on the other side of most of my deals are other lawyers who practice in the same industry as I do. On the transactional side, if I represent a contractor, I'm normally negotiating between an owner. It could be a public owner like Broward County, or it could be a public owner like the state of Florida, or some kind of agency of the federal government on the other side, or it could be a private, most of the times it's a private developer trying to build any type of project, commercial, usually commercial, mixed-use residential, office building projects. And on the litigation side, and I also do litigation, which is kind of where I cut my teeth in being a lawyer. I love being in the courtroom. I love the battle of what will and the battle of wits that it takes to be a litigator. And so there's, that's where the fun happens as a lawyer. But you know what? A lot of construction deals, a lot of construction disputes, I should say, are not made for the courtroom. We don't have that, Perry Mason or Law and Order type of drama. There's nothing very sexy about construction law or talking about change orders or and liens. So it's not really built for the courtroom, but a lot of the disputes get settled and are negotiated and get settled in some kind of mediation or alternative dispute resolution type of process.
Sounds good. We have a couple of comments. Bobby Henry, you mentioned Sandy McDonald. He says Sandy is a friend of Hiram Jackson, who is a member of NNPA. Gregory Muhammad says, thank you, Sister Lisa Colon, for your expertise in the area of construction law. The Black and Latino community need a community introduction into this area of law. And then Bobby goes on to say again that relationships are extremely important for us to move forward. We appreciate all who make the comments, not just our publishers, but our viewers. Like Michelle Madison says, this is good advice. I see many contractors make their wives the co-owner of the business in order to get the WBE certification. That's something, Lisa, can you speak to that?
Yeah. So that's a very touchy subject, right? So a lot of these certifications have qualification requirements, and on the basis of these qualification requirements is that the person who is going to get the status, whether it's a woman-owned business status or a minority-owned business status, has to be the person who owns the company, 51% of the company, and the person who has the technical expertise. So what ends up happening is, and most people get into this not because they're trying to defraud. My experience is it's not that they're trying to defraud the agency, but it's more of they just want the opportunity. And so what happens is lots of folks will put their wives on the company. The wife, one time I had a case where the wife was a nurse and she was part owner of the company, and they got the certification. And what ends up happening is if you get the certification by misrepresenting who truly owns the company or who truly has the expertise, the danger you put your company in is not only committing fraud on the government, but the danger you put your company in is that you may bid for a project, you may successfully win that project, and then somebody comes and does what they call a bid protest. They may protest your status, and that could end you up in all sorts of legal shenanigans that you don't really want to end up in. So I always tell folks, the first thing you need to do if you're interested in forming a company and you think that you can be minority disadvantaged or women-owned enterprise, the first thing you do is reach out to someone in your local small business. Every agency, every local and state government has a agency, a department that deals and certifies these businesses. Reach out to someone in that agency. I often find these folks very helpful. They want to help you. Reach out to someone there, get the paperwork. And if you're still hesitant about what it really means and how to really do it, then reach out to an attorney who specializes in this area.
Yeah, and Lisa, finally, I know that we've been talking, obviously, and it's obvious you're in a industry, as we said, dominated by white males. But talk about the diversity efforts that might be going on, perhaps the firm you work for.
Oh, yeah. So Saul Ewing Arnstein Lehr, first of all, we're Mansfield certified firm, which means that we have gone through a rigorous process of our diversity programs, and we're certified to be a firm that's committed to diversity. But the firm really puts a lot of energy and resources into developing their women and their African-American and Latinx lawyers. And there's lots of programs. We have a minority attorney resource group. Actually, when I joined the firm, when I joined the firm, that group reached out to me right away and had an unofficial happy hour for me. So the camaraderie, the resources are there. When I joined the firm, let me tell you, they were so happy to have me. Because of not only because of my knowledge, but because they knew that they had someone, they had a unicorn in this area, right? There's not, like I said, there's not many me's walking around in the construction industry. But they've put a lot of resources into me. There's so much help to help grow my business. They're so committed to that, and I'm very grateful to be with a firm and to be part of a partnership of a firm that really cares about the development of their lawyers, all their lawyers, but especially the minority and female lawyers. And there's lots of literature. There's lots to read about diversity in the legal profession. There was a study that just came out this week that 27% of associates in big law are people of color. And when you get up into the equity partnership, that number drops off to less than 10%.
Wow.
So there's a lot of work to do in retention and growing attorneys. It's easy to get us in the door, but they lose us when it comes time to build business. Being a lawyer is two parts. One, it's being a good lawyer and knowing the law and being a great advocate in whatever you do. But then there's a business. Being a lawyer is also a business, and it's knowing how to get business, to build your network, and to build your clientele, and to build out what they call their book of business. And that's where a lot of minority and women lawyers fall short.
Yeah, Dr. Chavis, I want to throw it to you for your closing thoughts.
Well, thank you. Again, I want to thank Attorney Lisa for being with us. The Biden-Harris administration has this theme about build back better. And I would say build back better, Black and brown. Build back better. And I'm so glad that you're in the construction industry to help us rebuild our communities, expand our communities. And also, Lisa, we're going to be talk to you offline about how we can get the construction industry to advertise in our newspapers, to advertise in our media companies, because the construction industry is a multi-billion-dollar, multi-trillion-dollar industry. And there needs to be a greater intersection between the construction industry and the Black and Latino press.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we thank you, Lisa Colon, for joining us this morning. And for our viewers, make plans now to join us for the National Newspaper Publicists Association's Leadership Reception, September 16th. You can join at virtualnnpa2021.com. And in fact, we encourage you to sign up today at virtualnnpa2021.com for the September 16th Leadership Conference. We'll have plenty more details as the days and weeks move on. Some of the honorees, well, I'll give you one of them as a hint today. Corey Bush will be honored and others. So we'll see you on September 16th with that. But let it be known, if we are going to be part of the solution, we have to engage the problems. We will see you tomorrow.